Missus Fowler. I remember old Missus Fowler. She come by our place one fine summer day. She didn't have much time to visit, but she sure had a plenty to say. Did you hear? Jimmy Taylor and little Cindy Lou done run off down to Memphis. What her daddy do? Why, he got out his double barrel and he loaded up with shot. He gone down to Memphis gonna find out what's what. Ain't it a scandal? Ain't it a shame? Everybody knows Jimmy Taylor ain't got a nickel to his name. Ain't it pitiful? Ain't it sad? Why, who'd have thought little Cindy could up and do so bad? Had to be Jimmy Taylor leading that child astray. We all knowed he had bad blood. And blood'll tell, they say. You know his mama, Mary Taylor? She said her husband died in the war. I wouldn't like to say she lied. No, I'd not go that far. But you know, she went off down to Charlotte. She was gone nigh a year. Then she come home on her lonesome and had poor little Jimmy here. Why, she was big as a house. I saw her. Uppity little sinner, she never showed no shame. Just there, right out in church, she was going back to her maiden name. I always thought over there in Charlotte she was running wild. And we all thought she'd got her just deserts. But oh, that little child. Ain't it terrible? Ain't it a disgrace? But, of course, we never said nothing. Well, not to her face. You know how it is. How it's always been. All them Taylor boys, they're wicked men. Scripture says the sins of the fathers will be visited on the sons. That girl will come by it honest. You know what her daddy done. They do say him and her mama, they had to get wed, then she had a 7-month baby. That's what folks said. Now, I don't know about her granddaddy. He is probably just as bad. The leaf don't fall far from the tree, Mrs. Fowler said. Ain't it dreadful? Ain't it wrong? We hadn't had so much excitement in I don't know how long. Well, I gotta be running, Mrs. Fowler said. If I ain't home for supper, Mr. Fowler'll think I'm dead. That man does love his victuals, and he wants them done on time. But as long as he gets a good supper, why, everything's just fine. Ain't it wonderful? Ain't it grand? Bet that little Cindy wished she had such a good man. Why, but there my mama stopped her, frowned, and threw up her hands. Said, you ought to be ashamed, Mrs. Fowler, running on that way. Ain't nothing but spiteful gossip to spoil this happy day. I'll tell you, Mrs. Fowler, what I saw with my very own eyes. It ought to go a piece to stealing all them nasty lies. It was Cindy and her folks and Jimmy Taylor driving off down to Memphis together in his car. And that ain't all, Mrs. Fowler. Mary Taylor's got a medal her husband won in the war. Guess if he was still living, he'd sure give you what for. And her mama, I'm here to tell you, she was good as gold. She never had no 7-month baby. Took her 5 years all told. She is my husband's aunt, so I guess I ought to know. And if the sins of the parents are visited on the child, just how do you explain your boy running wild? You better look to home before you start running a body down. I don't know what's come over the good folk in this town. I know you got to run, Mama said. Didn't mean to keep you so long. Oh, Mrs. Fowler turned turkey red, and she took out for home. Take a lesson, Mama told me. Think before you talk. And if you can't say something good, why, don't say nothing at all. Folks say words can't hurt you, but child, that just ain't true. Mrs. Fowler learned you today about the harm hard words can do. Long years after, I still remember how Mama chased Ole Missus Fowler away, and the lesson them two taught me. I can still hear Mama today. Yes, we was taught the old way. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words won't never hurt me. That's what we're supposed to say. But honey, it just ain't so. Bad words smart. Yes, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can break your heart.